Yeah, we're gonna open up the Water Sewer Commissioners meeting, May 30th, 2024. President's Keith Boniaz, Colin Hare, Bob Josie, and Assistant Manager Bob Sullivan. So the first thing we're gonna do is the rate discussions on the rate increases. We had like a 7% increase, but it's been over, what, 3 years?
6%.
Yep,
6%.
6% increase.
6%, I'm sorry. excuse me.
That's what we're discussing, is a 6% increase. It's been 3 years since we had an increase.
Mhm.
So the 6%, so I wanted to see where the revenue came from on that. So on the 6% increase, the average bill, if I did my math right, Bob, the average water bill will go up $10.32, and the sewer bill will go up $23.22, based on 4,300 cubic feet.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just trying to double check the math here.
Okay. So if you have water and sewer, I think it'll be $33.54, if I did it right. Based on 4,300.
Next water. $12.72.
On the first one?
For the water, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
What
didn't
did you
do
have?
that. I didn't do the first one. I just went to the average. I went into the 3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, but you remember that you don't,
Yeah,
the
you're-
first
You're paying on
3,000,
the first 3,000, just
Mhm.
for the
Would be-
lower rate.
and then you'd have another 1,300 at the,
Yeah. So it's 660 at the 3,000, and you get another 13. Yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, 13 at the 24 cents, so 312. So it's 972, but then the basic fee went up $3, so it comes out to 1272 total. You did all 4,300 at the higher rate.
At the
You
Yeah,
don't.
there's a
You don't
diet
pay
works.
you don't pay the 424 for
Until you-
all 4,300. You pay,
oh yeah, you gotta pull
This
off the
for-
yes,
yeah.
that's right. I didn't do that. Yep.
but then you missed
the basic fee.
on the basic
I
fee.
forgot the
up
that
three.
tiered thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the average, 3,000 to 5,000?
About 4,300 is
4,300.
typical average usage. But Douglas is fairly conservative, believe it or not. We come well under the 65 GPA per capita.
Yeah, I did that right. That's right.
So I'll just finish this up real quick and tell you what the difference is.
Yeah, because I'd have to do the math to make up the
Yeah.
1,300 cubic feet.
Yeah, I looked. I thought, I'm
Yeah,
like, he
I
missed
didn't
that
do
part.
it. Yeah, I missed
Yeah.
that.
So if you have water only, it would be an increase of $12.72. If you have water and sewer, I wrote my stuff too sloppy. 14. $35.21.
How much?
$35.21
On the
increase.
sewer?
No, for total water and sewer.
Oh, total.
Yeah, if you have both water and sewer.
35.21.
That's increase, that's every 6 months, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's based on an average use of 4,300 cubic feet, okay. And then, so it looks, the 6% increase is across, starting from zero,
Yeah.
all the way through.
Evenly across the
Yeah,
entire-
evenly across, yeah.
The entire rate.
Rate structure, okay.
It averages it all like 2% per year.
Yeah, it's not bad, it's still, given the,
We had talked
Given
about
the-
going up,
yeah,
like the cost of living, like 2.25.
Yeah, we had discussed at one time is just do the annual 2.5%, and then in 5 years or whatever, we look at it and determine if we've overcompensated or undercompensated,
yeah.
and do a makeup year, whether it be no rate or, you know, if we had.
And
to
if
go
we did it that way,
additional.
it'd be more than the 6% increase. Too.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, is you would look at it, you could essentially say, all right, we can skip this year and no rate increase, but.
Yeah,
What do you guys figure we should do on that?
I mean, probably discuss it on a.
I was gonna say, I wouldn't recommend doing that at this
This
At this
yeah.
point. This is just to discuss these rates.
Yeah.
If you want to do a
Rate
kind of
study.
implement that, I think that's over. I mean, you have plenty of time before the next budget,
Yeah.
but I would look at it over the next few. If you want to add that to the agenda item for a discussion topic,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be better. So, I mean, you're kind of hitting them blind here to,
Right, yeah.
to try to vote or make something on that.
And you still need to have a hearing on it anyway, because still, if any rate increase.
Yeah, we have to have a hearing, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have the hearing and then we vote after the hearing.
Right. So I'm just saying, if that's an approach you want to take, I would discuss it over the next, you know, like I said, add it to the agenda, and it's something that if you guys want to get into that conversation at a meeting, we can
Yeah.
have that topic discussed, and if that's the approach you want to take, we can kind of head towards that direction, and
If we did it that way, it'd be a 7.5% increase.
it would have been, yeah.
It would have been.
Over 3 years, it would have been,
Would have been
yeah.
right, 7 down. Okay, I'm fine on that. And then, and are you good on that?
I'm good on that,
Okay.
yeah.
Bob, you good on the rates? Are you
Yeah.
good on the rates? Yeah.
I'm good on
Okay.
it. We have to vote on that, or?
No, they were just,
Let's wait and you vote on the whole thing at once, because you got all the fees as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I don't think we vote tonight anyway,
No.
we vote after the hearing,
yeah,
in case we change.
Yeah, just to,
Yeah,
Oh,
because the hearing, we're taking input from the public,
yeah.
and we
yeah, so,
we listen to their input, and if you guys deem it necessary to make changes based on their input, we do that at that time.
Yeah.
So,
we have to have that done before the first fiscal year.
well, we want to do it at the next.
Yeah, we'll do it at our next meeting.
We already have the
Next
rate
meeting.
hearing set up.
Okay.
Yep, June
The
12th.
next meeting.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't, I don't believe it has to be, it has to be implemented before the first billing, but it's, you wanna get it as early as possible. So people are aware that.
Yeah, we just
Right.
You don't wanna wait, let them use all the water and then say, well, we just raised it. Maybe they wouldn't have used as much.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm aware, I mean, that's what we've done.
that's my mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to let people know as soon as we can.
All right, so on the proposed fees, is there anything new?
There's a new one. We did if you look at the final read fee, we have the $50 for more than 5 days, $100 if it's 3 days or less. So it's 4 or more days is 50, 3 days or less is 100, and then we were putting one in here to see if you wanted to go with the same day, because we've had some that no, I need it today.
Day?
Oh yeah, and it's almost impossible. And if I've got to do it, if Lee's out, then it's a real nightmare, because her computer gets all screwed up because I change everything around. So. So then it's a week of me dealing with a messed up computer.
Yeah, well, and it's a fire drill, I mean, it's.
It is,
You
and
know,
I've got
because they had, you know, lousy planning and stuff.
Yeah, it happens more often than you think. Usually, the banks or the
Yeah, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
supposed to be
Closing.
requesting them 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
You know, that was a rule that came out
They
4 or
don't- they
5
don't-
years ago.
Yeah, they don't look at their HUD settlement until the morning of the closing. They're like, oh shit, we didn't get the
Yeah.
final read.
But it's us jumping through hoops.
To get it done.
I mean, if we had a 15-man crew here, that'd be one thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I have I just have one question that's, well, a couple things, so.
Yep.
Sprinkler charges 4, sprinkler charges 6, sprinkler charges 8, sprinkler charges 12. Could you just explain that?
so that's the size of the
Size.
sprinkler line.
Okay.
So
Love
if they
to
have
see
a
it
4-inch sprinkler,
Love to see a
4
12-inch
inch, yeah,
sprinkler.
okay.
Love to see a 12-inch sprinkler.
it is on the Cubes has 12-inch sprinkler.
They were?
line. Yeah.
Mm.
You're thinking sprinkler,
No,
It's not
I
irrigation.
wasn't.
Oh,
no,
okay,
I
okay.
I'd never seen piping running through. That,
Yeah,
that
theirs
big
is.
for- is it?
It's a
It can't be
12-inch
too many
feed mill.
places.
Yeah, it's the Cubes. The Cubes has a 12-inch, and
Yeah.
Blackstone Valley has a 10-inch.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I just
must
never
be.
seen one that
But
big.
it's-
That's all.
Well,
I've never had it
Yeah.
either.
Well,
go
I haven't seen a building that
go
big
inside
either.
that building.
So, yeah.
I forget it was 19 risers, which
Yeah.
are 6-inch risers going up to the sprinkler heads.
Wow.
And that fire line, it goes through a diesel pump.
Yeah.
And then it feeds a loop around the building. All the risers go off that, and the 12 fire hydrants around the building are also fed off of that. So, and I think we're flowing at like we got like 5,100 gallons a minute
Is it really?
that can go through that line.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just from the upgrades that we did through all these projects.
Yeah.
They used to have 500 gallons a minute over there. So now it's up to roughly 5,100 gallons a minute.
So on the frozen meter fee,
Yep.
not including replacement or labor, do we have for any more frozen meters because of those are the old ones, right? The one that the outside readers? The ones that,
No, frozen meter is somebody doesn't
Oh.
have their water shut off. They shut the house
Oh,
down
that
for the
type of
winter
frozen.
and you
Yeah,
freeze the
frozen
meter
water,
itself.
all right, frozen. I was on the line of, remember the old,
Yeah, the old ones that freeze and they don't
Freeze,
turn
yeah,
anymore.
Yeah, this is the
okay,
line that freezes itself.
This is it there.
okay, that explains that. Thank you.
And just the question about the labor. So what would fall under labor? So if they're doing a tampered meter, say, you've got the $100 fee, you've got the cost of the replacement meter, and then $50 with a minimum 1 hour charge for labor. Correct?
Yeah, well, I guess I'd have
Just
to.
just
I'd
using that as an example.
So I don't know if it was a tamper meter fee. We don't necessarily have to change the meter. If they damage the meter, then yeah, it would be
Okay.
They'd have to pay to replace the meter.
Alright.
But if they just tampered with a meter, that could be they disconnected it
Yeah.
and put a spacer in there to bypass the
Right,
meter, or just something where they took the meter off so water wasn't going through the meter, and they may have been filling a pool or whatever.
So is that when you would charge labor?
Well, we would you'd probably charge labor because we have to go out there and reseal the
Do it.
meter.
Okay.
Um,
So then, do
Or
you-
like that frozen meter,
Yeah.
what he brought up. So you
Yeah.
have a frozen meter, but
Yeah.
we got to go out there and replace it.
right.
So it's going to be a minimum 1 hour.
Yeah.
We got to replace the meter, put a new seal, all that stuff. So
Do you think that $50 covers
the labor,
the labor?
no, it doesn't. So Lee had tried to get some information,
Yeah.
but I don't know that the communication wasn't full as to what
Well, it's hard to
what
pull
was
that.
being looked for.
Yeah, so I run into this problem too now. Owned by a large corporation, I don't get all the numbers you need
Right.
to pull a
So
a real quantifiable rate.
Yeah, when I was in private industry, we used to, we were looking for billing rates. I mean, we
Right.
charged our labor. That's what,
Right.
and we always went 1.85. So 85% of whatever your salary is goes towards benefits and all the
Yeah.
other costs that it costs to have an employee. When I quickly ran them, just trying to gather what I could today, between health insurance, Medicare, or Medicaid, Medicare, life insurance, retirement. So, retirement alone adds, roughly $6 an hour. Medicare is 56 cents an hour. Health insurance is $9.44 an hour. OPEB, that other post-employment benefits, that adds another $2.40. I was already up to $18.54 on top of the hourly rate, so I'm already at $57, almost $58 right there. So the 50 isn't covering our cost for the employee to begin with.
Yeah.
Like I said, I used to always use 1.85 because there's other expenses in here that you're not
Yeah.
capturing.
So should we be looking at a labor rate of?
I would think 75 would be more
Yeah, I
appropriate.
was gonna say 65 to be a little
Yeah.
judicious,
Yeah, but-
So if you're at 58, you're at 58.
Yeah.
Not-
But that's not including, yeah, I mean, we
the
got
actual-
uniforms, we got food safety, you know, there's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff
there's a lot
that's
feeds that.
employee, you know, training, licenses, there's a lot of stuff I didn't capture, that was just quick numbers that I got off the bat that are hard and fast, you know you're paying these.
Yeah, the number
Like I said,
was-
85% is
Yeah.
typically,
I did ask Steve for that, just to get, so making sure that, 'cause I didn't think that was kind of low.
Yeah, I thought it was low too.
you did, but
And
but where she got the numbers, they didn't understand what she was actually looking for, so they used,
what they,
so the numbers they were using were these here, so, but they're doing the 1.45 on Medicare, but life insurance, it was penny, health insurance was 350. These aren't the actual numbers. This is what the employee's paying, and what we needed was what the town is
the
paying
town, right.
towards.
What
So-
the hourly cost is for that employee.
Right, so it's, we pay $1,636 a month for health insurance. So do that out and it comes out to $944 an hour.
That makes sense.
So that's why, I don't think, she doesn't understand how the numbers work. So when she asked, that person wasn't clear as to what she was trying to calculate.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've done it before.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to build people's time, it was a
Yeah.
business. So.
Yeah.
So like I said, that, when you had asked me earlier, I understood that number didn't look right to me either. Like I said, I always factored it at about 1.85.
So I think we should make an adjustment on that. What was your recommendation on that?
If you did the 1.85, it comes out to like 72 something, but
So I would round that.
you know, I think
So-
you should stick with kind of even numbers to to go with. So I would think 75, not unreasonable.
And what is that for, service call?
Hourly rate for a service call. Yeah. Yeah.
He has 50, right?
Yeah.
It should be what, 75?
75.
And what is the markup? Are we at 20%?
30.
30%? So materials, whatever the cost is plus markup.
Yeah. Do you want me to add that markup 30% so it's listed out there?
Please.
Actually, should we list on there as well sales tax? Because we don't pay sales tax, but we have to pay. If we sell something to a customer, we have to pay the sales tax and pay the state that sales tax.
Yeah, I think the
Well,
sales
sales tax is listed on the back. Yeah, links to it is.
Okay. Yeah.
And when we bill a customer, they have to pay the sales tax, right?
I don't, should we put a number on that? Because we'd have to.
We have it. Yeah, you shouldn't have.
We should just leave it as whatever the state.
It says state set it.
State said it, right, which they did, but I
So-
mean, if we have that number, I don't think we should put the number.
You want
on
to put just state rate?
State rate, whatever the tax is.
Yeah.
Current
Let's not-
state
let's
rate,
not
Yeah, because in case it goes up,
Changes.
Right. which
we know it's not going
in
to
a
go
few
down.
months we might.
Current rate.
Well, it's been at 6.25 for quite a while now, hasn't it?
Yeah, but it's an election year, Bob.
Yeah. So just current rate. Leave it at that. Backbone operator.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if we want to look at those, and adjust those numbers?
It's,
Backhoe and operator? I mean, if we've got a
Probably,
dump truck and driver for 85 and we're charging 75 just for labor, are we really renting out a truck for $10 an hour?
Yeah.
I'd call you to come just do my landscaping work.
I think the dump truck and driver should be up around 150.
And then the backhoe should be probably,
That should, yeah.
is that covered?
that's, private side,
150
that's,
for backhoe and operator?
that's adequate. I mean, on the private side, that's adequate. I mean, I know, like, if I called somebody come in with a backhoe, typically an excavator is about 200, 185 to 200,
an hour.
and then a backhoe is less.
So you think these numbers are good?
I think the backhoe is.
Yeah, I don't think the dump truck is.
Dump truck, you're talking like the 1 ton, or you're talking like a highway truck?
Highway truck, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 1 ton. So that should be it, because you gotta
Yeah.
put the labor rate at.
Yeah.
You have to do the math, what's the highway? You have to get that number from Adam.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up.
Just get that number, whatever.
I'll get those numbers from Adam.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that number's probably on par with the backhoe operator, to
yeah,
be honest.
it probably is.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably the same operator. It's the same.
Yeah.
Same people will be
Yeah.
running the backhoe or the dump truck. 'Cause I think they're all licensed for the same things over there.
And then I would get the last three. I mean, that
All
one. I
three
think-
from Adam.
Yeah, because those are actually that's more of the highway side.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure we're not off base on anything, did you just look at any other pricing? Like, is there anything that we're not doing that other towns might be, or anything that we
So
are
there's a-
doing that other towns aren't?
So there is a hydrant connection fee, like somebody wants to hook up for a hydro seat or something.
Yeah.
Most towns have a permit that you fill out,
Yeah.
and it's a $100 permit fee, and that gets the meter and the backflow preventer set up, and then it's $100 permit fee plus whatever you use for water
So that's for
at the current rates. So
Yeah.
that's one that they have that I know we don't charge.
is that permit fee per? So say if a hydro seeder wants to come in.
So that's where we need to discuss it is, if you have, like, we've had, the company that PK Keating or whatever it is.
I've had people ask me, and I say, well, we don't do any goes off, but if it was reasonable, so I just come in, if I can
Yeah.
walk up and pay the. whatever
So
it
that's
is.
where you gotta, we'd have to discuss it a little bit to come up with that, and I don't care if you wanna do it right now, but, you know, like, we've had them where they, like, over at the construction site, you know, we set up a hydrant meter and everything, and it was there for 2 months. Because we only have one, I made them provide their own backflow and meter. But there still should be a connection fee, and then it's a matter of how you wanna do it, is that, it's an open permit? You know, do we put on the permit how long it's gonna be used for? Is it a day? Is it a month? Is it a?
Is that for a construction fee or for the hydro seeder? Say if a hydro seeder just wanted to water a local guy.
Right, so I'm just saying that when you do a hydrant connection permit,
Yeah.
it could be for various things, whether it's a hydro seeder
Oh,
or.
for hydro connection, okay.
Right, so
Yep.
it's to have us come out and set up a meter, make sure everything's right, so that we're not contaminating the water system.
Yeah, like what if the circus came back?
So the circus,
Right.
I would look at that as more, you know, we've had the conversation before about a contractor meter.
Yep.
You know, it's a temporary meter.
Yeah.
We go out and set it up. You know, same thing. If you did like $100 fee, we go out, set it up, provide a meter. It's $100 plus the usage. So that's another one that we don't really have. We just usually go out and set it up.
I think, I like the idea because I don't like personally, but I don't like to
No, I
put,
know.
I don't like. to
We've had this
install
conversation a
the
bunch of
meter
times.
Because what happens is during construction, it could get damaged and a lot of guys they'll say, well, I'm not gonna call for it, get it fixed, and they let it go through.
Yeah.
And the homeowner's gonna, have
A broken meter.
broken
or
meter.
something when he-
And then they have to pay it. Versus if you just put in a temporary construction meter, I personally would do that because then if
Are
it
you
breaks.
talking about in the basement?
Yeah,
Oh,
just
a new
just
house?
for construction of the
No,
house.
I was just thinking off of a hydrant.
Oh, that was a separate.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was
Yeah,
saying, I'm just,
yeah.
this is it, but that would
Yeah.
be more like this, where we're setting up a temporary construction meter, you know, you're
Yeah.
using it for a certain purpose for a limited time.
But it's something that I would like to see set up in one specific spot.
But that's the thing, like if the circus
well,
came into
well,
town,
the circus would be different, but I'm saying for hydro seeders and stuff.
So we are working on something, proposing it's like a water dispensary station. We had looked into it. Steve had found it, and one of the things I've seen it before, but it's basically like a kiosk. You drive up, you put a credit card in, you hook up your truck, and it fills it up. It's got all the backflow prevention built in. It's got so that the water doesn't flow fast. It's electronic with a flow control valve, so it's not water hammer and everything else. We're looking at something like that for the Pine project, for one to catch the water that's being used during construction, and then to have it a permanent structure so that people can just go to that one location. I think it's a good idea, but for us to install it, it's not really feasible. The return on investment wouldn't be there.
Right.
But if we could get it as part of a project, and I think part of our proposal there is, they went through a ton of water.
So the revenue is still,
The revenue would be ours.
yeah, but they maintain and they,
Well, no, we'll take it over once
Okay.
that project's done, but the way we were gonna try to propose it was something along the line of, it's gonna be however many gallons of water. We lost hundreds of thousands of gallons between flushing, chlorinating, doing flow tests and everything else. Doing a flow test, they did another one and didn't tell us, but our hydrant alarms caught it, and we ran over there. They were doing a flow test at the Blackstone Valley one. They went through 45,000 gallons in 15 minutes. So, if we had something like this and put it in there, we'd capture that usage that we normally wouldn't catch.
Yeah.
And we'll just tell them, all right, up to this many gallons, you pay to install this thing, up to this many gallons is covered. Anything over that, you're paying at our regular rate or whatever. So that way it would be covered through the construction, we'd end up with it, and then we'd have that benefit of being able to sell the water to hydro seeders and we're keeping it in one spot with all the protection in place. We don't have to worry about any backflows or anything else, so.
that's, ideally, that'd be nice.
Ideally, that would be
In
excellent,
the,
but
in the interim, could it be doing on obviously the smaller trucks that could?
we usually do this hydrant right here, because that way we're monitoring it, we see what's going on. So anytime anyone calls, but we have caught people out on hydrants. It is one nice thing about during this project, we installed those eye hydrants, and we catch people on the hydrants all the time. We get alarms immediately when someone draws on a hydrant, so.
That's good.
It's just a matter of running around town finding where
Yeah.
they are. So. John forgot to let me know they were practicing one day, and we oh crap, we got a water main break, just the way the alarms went off. So me and Steve both went out. We just happened to be pulling up to the fire station at the same time. John goes, sorry. But they're really good. They usually text me that they're gonna practice or
So
whatever.
if a
So
hydro seeder comes in and hooks up, you'll be notified.
I usually get an alarm. Yeah,
If something to draw in that.
right. Anytime
So-
someone's drawing that volume,
Well, I think
it
there should
triggers an
be.
alarm.
So I
I
think,
know years ago, the hydro seeder used to just hook up that fire hydrant.
Well, they used to drop into a pond, and that wasn't an issue, and
Right.
everybody has issue with that now too.
I don't know, they used to pull into the brooks.
So, so there should be something. I think there's
So a
gotta
temporary service connection.
Be, yeah, there's got to
something
be
along that
something with
line.
that, and I also think that there should be a fine if we catch somebody hooked up to a fire.
We already have that in place.
What is that?
Temporary service fee.
Violation. So that goes under violation because we have a policy on that one.
Okay.
Violation.
Yeah,
Where's
it's down under tamper meter and then hydrant,
Oh, yeah.
the private hydrant fee. So then there's violation under that, and it's variable depending on the violation. So we have a policy in place on that already.
Yeah, I don't think that ever, I remember we would discuss that, but I don't think it ever went.
Now, you approved the policy, but we didn't put it in under the rates and fees because it's a violation. It's not a fee. It's
It's a violation.
it's a violation, not so much a fee.
Yeah, but there was. So what is the violation though? That's what I guess we need to know.
So it was, because you guys changed it on me. I think I went 1, 2, 3, and you guys went
I
1,
don't
2,
think we,
25.
I don't think we ever finalized that number.
Yeah, I think
I was looking at it, cause I was looking at some of the old stuff.
I'll have to look, cause we had put the date that it was approved and everything.
Yeah,
I'll find it, and with the date, it'll tell us.
yeah,
We can go back and look at the meeting. But I'm pretty sure we finalized it. And that got put in place during the whole North Village thing where we were catching them with,
Yeah.
yeah,
you know, distribution things set up running all over the place.
right.
So we did finalize that. I know my original numbers, you guys kicked them back from what I had.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at that, 'cause I remember when I was going through this, I'm like, oh, we never.
Yeah.
And I tried looking what my information I had.
Yeah, we did, and I had some, I think I had stronger language in there, and you guys reduced the language as well, because I know we had something on, you know, after the third offense, we would no longer issue permits or connections to someone that violated that many times.
Yeah,
And I think you guys kind of toned my language down a little bit on that.
yeah.
But I'll check, like I
Yeah,
said, I'll
if you
follow
could.
up on it.
Yeah,
And if you want that before
for
the
next meeting,
hearing.
maybe we could put all any of the policies that we have in place, what they are and when they were voted on and approved
Okay.
on the
Yeah,
policies.
we don't have a ton of policies that were voted
Yeah.
and approved yet. We have some, we had it on there for a little while, we were trying to get more, but it's just, everything got so busy
Yeah.
with these projects that we haven't had time
Yeah.
to work on
So
policies.
it's a violation,
per
like the
se.
violation when you get to the day that if it was voted on and approved,
Yep,
then you can just look back at the meeting and to reference it if you
Right.
need to.
yep. That's what I did. I did put revision and date of the revision on the policy.
Yeah,
So they're probably out there.
okay. So temporary service fee we wanna look at, right? And then temporary, the hydrant connection fee?
So, yeah, I would say it's a hydrant permit.
Hydrant permit fee.
And most towns is typically 100. I think Lee actually did some research on that. I can check and see what she came up with, but.
So you're saying temporary service fee and a hydrant permit fee, meaning,
Are two separate things, because a hydrant permit is somebody's getting onto a hydrant,
Right.
you know, filling a tanker truck or whatever. So it's $100 plus usage,
currently?
plus usage at current rate. No, we don't have
We
one
don't, I was
current,
gonna say, we didn't have one, so we didn't know that one. Like you said, $100 plus,
plus current,
yeah,
plus usage, so whatever the current rate for water usage is.
so hydrant permit fee. $100 plus usage.
I would say hydrant use. And then you are talking something about like so I would think I would want to try to encompass both in one, like your scenario where you're saying construction use,
Yeah, I just
a
think.
temporary meter for construction use.
Yeah,
That to me is the same thing as like his scenario of the circus or whatever. It's a
Yeah.
temporary, you're using it just for a short period.
yeah.
Probably.
Typically when you build a house, you don't even generate
Right, you
enough
don't
water.
trigger
to-
100
you don't-
cubic feet.
To even generate a bill.
Right.
I mean, so, if you did, it's $10, like, well, whatever, the rate.
Right.
It was like $10 if you actually trigger it. If you
Right.
don't trigger it, you don't even have to trigger enough to
Right.
generate a bill. So, I think if somebody does want that, they should be, obviously, if you have to go out, install a temporary meter, take it out, and then transfer the new one into the,
So when we go take that one out, you put the new one in, and that's the new connection.
yeah. And then, my only question on that would be, so when they get the bill for that, you'll have the temporary temporary meter fee, usage, whatever it was, if it triggers the usage. Then you have the new meter that was installed, and the normal bill that goes along with the new meter, right, on that bill. So that way it goes on the construction side, not on the, so the new homeowner that's moving in doesn't get the bill for the new meter.
Right. So, trying to think. Well,
So typically.
you might know better than me, but I'm thinking that at the point, if you're using it for a construction use,
Mhm.
you'd go out, put the temporary meter in.
Yep.
When you say I'm done with the construction meter,
You would
install the permanent meter, at that point you'd probably be doing a final read,
I would think, yes.
because you're not going to want to
Right.
put the new meter until you're selling the house to somebody, because you're not gonna wanna do a new meter install, a final read, you know, we're gonna come out and charge you to install the new meter and everything, and then come back to do a final read, you know what I mean?
You don't wanna pay the final read because.
That's what I mean,
you install the meter and then, so it'd be the changeover from that point. So you get the temporary construction fee.
But every time they do a construction, like any new we put meters in so they can start
Yeah,
doing whatever they're doing.
yeah,
We do and you might have that in there and not sell the house for 6 months.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you'd want to have it so that construction meter stays in there until you're ready to switch over. I'm just trying to cover
Yeah,
scenarios
yeah.
here for you.
yeah, but you don't wanna charge double either for the same thing, cause nobody will call they'll just call to have the,
Right, that's why I'm saying,
call the meter.
Yeah,
and
but
then-
how often, like, are we fixing something that isn't broke?
Yeah,
Like, how often does that happen where a homeowner has been stuck? A new homeowner with new construction has been stuck with an outrageous.
it's not so much the outrageous usage. I mean, it could be, and that's why we do a final read before
Yeah.
the new owner buys it, but but the scenario that we've talked about multiple times
Yeah.
is like we had one where we installed the meter and then they came and spray foamed the whole insulation and they covered the meter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's covered in spray foam. You can't get that off.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of different people
you know-
standing on them. I'm always like, now they're plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, they break it or damage it, and when we install a new meter, we install a radio, so we don't need to go back in to do a final read. We don't know that
You don't see
they
it.
Yeah.
broke it or covered it in foam, or, you know, some contractors aren't that trustworthy or moral or whatever you want to call it.
They'll-
They could have disconnected the meter just to use the water, so they're not paying for it.
They use zip
And now they
tape.
got a broken seal. We're gonna think when we come in the next time in 5 years when they sell the house, it could have a, you know, now they're gonna hit with a tampered meter because the meter seal's gone. So there are scenarios that
Yeah.
it could be an issue. So
Yeah.
it's not a bad idea to have
Yeah.
a temporary construction thing.
I can tell you, typically what it's been for years and years was Dave would always just he would put in
A spool piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
Because he didn't generate enough for usage, and he liked it so it was flushing everything out. The lines, the water line coming through.
But the thing is, I mean, I think we're thinking like one house at a time. So what do you do at North Village? How many construction meters would we have come up there? I mean, how many of those units are they building at a time? They got construction going on 4, 5, 6 at a time, 7, 8 at a time.
No, not that.
No, they've
When
probably,
they need the water portion,
2 to 4, I would think.
yeah, probably.
You know, so
Well, they get 2 per thing. I mean, I guess it could be 6 units.
they don't usually
Because they're
need the water
duplexes.
until they get to the
Right.
the plastering stage of it.
Mhm.
yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying, and then we can have, we got all these quote construction meters tied up and stuff.
Well, construction meters, we're not using new meters.
Yeah,
This is just a temporary, we
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
just somewhat account for unaccountable water for one.
Yeah.
But we've got plenty of meters that are taken out of service
yeah,
because they're beyond the time. They
Yeah.
still work.
yeah.
May not be 100% accurate, but
Yeah.
you know, if you're catching 90 out of 100 gallons, that's
Yeah.
more. That's 90 more than we're catching with no meter.
Yeah, I mean, I leave it away. Don't do anything if you don't want.
Yeah.
I was just throwing that out there.
Yeah, no, I don't
I
think.
mean, it doesn't hurt to have it in here. If nobody uses it,
Yeah.
so be it. But if we don't have it in here, then we're never going to use it.
Well, the other thing I'm thinking too is we're still short staffed, so I mean that's a lot of running around for people to do that we don't have the people to do it.
Yeah, but it's, like I said, if we're not using it, we're not using it.
Yeah.
But if it's here, it has
Yeah.
the option to be used.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's not here, we can't use it.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have
Yeah.
the ability to use it than not use it.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to having it in there, whether it gets used or not. That's
Alright.
so.
Yeah, it just has to be, the numbers would have to be so it's not cheaper just to put a regular meter in.
Right.
Because then nobody's gonna use it. It has to be the fee has to be less than what the alternative is gonna be
Right.
to do that. So we have to just. come up with
And how's that work in Munis?
That would just be.
It would be similar to a service order, a work order. So we just generate we can add labor, parts, meter, whatever. And it's just a service fee that we'd add in there. So
And a water can go in that same thing, like water
For
usage.
usage, I'm sure we can add that in there. I mean, whether we manually calculate it or,
Yeah.
it's not gonna generate a normal bill, it's gonna be a time and material type bill. I think that's the simplest approach anyway.
It's gonna complicate things, doesn't really matter.
I don't see it being overly complicated, but I'd prefer to have it listed as an option than not. If we don't list it, then it gets complicated because we don't have it to use it. So they're just gonna do what they're gonna do now anyway, so. But if we have it as an option, and we got somebody in there that's got a meter disconnected or whatever, and they say, oh, I didn't wanna wreck the meter,
Yeah,
you know, at least we can say, well, no, we have something in place for that, you could have had this meter.
yeah,
So at that point, you could hit them with a violation because there was an option that they could have used.
yeah. And then it would have to be, so they're still not getting charged the final read. For the
Yeah,
new
you don't
meter
need the
that's
final
put in.
read on a temporary meter. You know, we don't do a final read if the circus comes, it's,
Well, no, because that's what and that's why I'm asking. Just
Right.
thinking about Munis is, how messy does that account get?
right, that's why
right
I'm
off the
saying,
bat? So if it's just going to be like a quote work order, so then in that quote work order, you've got the the labor charge
Labor,
for somebody to go
material,
up,
and-
materials,
Yeah.
whatever to it for the use of the meter, and then you just have a line item where the rate is calculated manually.
yeah,
That's going
Yeah,
to
if
keep
we're
the
gonna
new
ask-
homeowner's
That's gonna
account
get- that will-
clean.
Nobody will use that, if it's gonna be labor rates.
No, that's what I'm
and
saying.
fees,
It-
yeah, then-
he's just saying,
Yeah.
on that
Yeah,
work
I'm
order
just
type thing,
saying.
we have those
Yeah,
line items.
yeah.
We just put,
Yeah.
on that work order, it's, here's the construction meter.
Yeah.
The fee is $100, usage is $3 because you used 100 cubic feet or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a very simple
yeah.
Yeah.
thing that we can spell out
That's,
on that.
if you make it too complicated.
So I don't want to make it more complicated for us either. I don't.
No,
wanna
and I hate to see an account get all screwed up just at the start of it.
Yeah,
Versus then when
to
you
be
get-
honest with you,
it wouldn't even go in the
Steve is on
system.
top of. He wants to account for every gallon. So
Yeah.
we have one that's outside on the ground right now that someone's using because he's like, well, I don't want people thinking I'm stealing the water, but I need to do this.
Yeah.
So we've got one hooked up to a service line sticking up there right now. So it's the same thing. We just don't have a place there to
Yeah,
build that as that type of
Yeah.
meter.
right, so just, essentially, we're just billing it would be put in here just as a temporary construction meter.
And again, even like a temporary construction, if you're building a house and you want to establish a lawn, even though we have a water ban in place, establishing a new lawn is exempt from the water ban.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if through that temporary meter, while you're trying to build, you want to water because it's September and it's a perfect time to establish grass, you do it through that meter.
Yeah,
That way we're accounting for it, and
yeah,
it's the contractor gets to present a better product to their customer when they sell the house. But I think that one thing, construction temporary, if you name it construction temporary meter, that's either a temporary meter for a circus or whatever they're doing up there for establishing lawn for a construction site, because Concom's all over people.
yeah,
If you put you do some construction, you're eroding the ground, and it's screwing up a wetland or something. They need to establish that lawn. So what's the only other option? Hiring a water truck or a hydro seeder to come in and fill up off a hydrant and then spray water all over it.
yeah. And you have to establish, people for septic systems has to have established.
Over the top of
over
it,
the
yeah.
top, before that gets signed off on.
So like I said, I don't think it's a bad idea, and we can account for more things. And like I said, I want to make it simple and have that one
Yeah.
thing, and it's just a matter of what we want to set that rate at. Is it $100 for a temporary meter, and that covers, what, us hooking it up, coming back, taking it back down.
That's what be the fee.
Right.
Then the usage is getting billed out for that, so.
And if you set it at like $100, it's actually a deal because normally our labor rate's 75, minimum 1 hour. We went out there to set it up, and then we went out there to take it down. That's 150. You set it at 100. It's a deal for the customer. And it really doesn't take us long to run out there and temporarily hook up a meter. So
Yeah, and
I don't think that's unfair, and it, you know, it establishes some revenue, and it's more appealing for people to follow the rules and us not having to try to catch people.
I agree with that.
And I get my unaccounted for. You know, it's something I fight for every year, trying to.
Just make sure, we have to make sure just with the munis, like he said, make sure it's not gonna interfere with anything on the transitioning portion of that when the new meter gets installed. And then
Yeah, I mean, I think the new meter install will be the same.
the same.
This
way
won't
take
even really
this one
affect
out.
it. We're just gonna go back out and do the new meter install and take out the temporary.
Yeah.
So,
Cause we just need, I would just double check everything before we,
yeah, I gotta run through it with Lee. I mean, I'm not into munis like she is, so. In my mind, it shouldn't be that difficult, but you know, sometimes I oversimplify things and it's like, you can't do
yeah,
that.
I think so too. It sounds simple, but then you get into the munis.
Well, if you can, like I said, if you can figure the water usage in a construction meter manually, and you do it as a regular
That's what,
an invoice, not in customer billing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so instead of saying the customer, we should almost call that, you know, something different than a regular customer. But at any rate,
That's why I'm saying a temporary or
you
construction.
know, the construction thing,
Contractor.
contractor meter or something like that, and that gets billed on in like a work order instead of in regular.
Yeah, I don't wanna make it as a customer.
Yeah,
This
right,
is a
right.
it's the same thing as the
Right.
hydrant permit.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing a temporary connection, we're coming out, setting it up,
Well,
making sure we get the
probably the
connection
same
on.
way that you would bill if somebody had us do, you know, fix their leaky line. That same type of work order.
That's what I
guess
mean,
is what
yeah,
I'm
it's-
thinking. Yeah.
This is a time and material
Yeah.
invoice, not a,
Yeah.
it's
So if
not a
that-
billing system through,
right.
it is through Munis, but it's not like a normal bill. You're not gonna see a customer name and a customer ID and all that stuff. It's,
Yeah, no, that's not. That's what I want to avoid. I want to avoid the regular billing section
right,
and have this.
I agree.
Built
That's why I
that
said
way.
do it on that
Yeah.
type of invoice where
Yeah.
we can list out materials,
Yeah.
labor,
Yeah.
and you don't list all that, you just list, you know, this is a construction meter or a temporary service line,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, the only thing that I just wanted to be clear on the transition portion from when you end that meter to the new meter that gets installed, because I know when the new meter gets installed, you have to have the customers, whoever's buying that.
Yeah, and then at that point, that new meter would be in that
The
the
account.
regular billing software. What I would call utility billing software, like the regular.
So that one, I wanna make sure that won't generate a final read, so when you're installing,
Well, we always do a final
Well, that
read
would
on
be
a
a
new
final
house,
read.
cause I mean, that may be something that you could eliminate, but,
well, if you get the temporary construction meter,
Right.
you're paying for the water up to that point, so when the new meter gets installed and you're changing it out.
but that's as long as, so that's why I said, if it takes you 6 months to sell a house, if you say, all right, I'm all done construction, it's ready, let's get the new meter installed, I go install a meter, and it's 6 months before you sell it, the new buyer is gonna request a final read, they're
Yeah,
gonna want a
yeah,
final read
yeah,
done.
true enough.
That's why I'm
So,
saying, I don't
in
know how
between
that would work.
The gap in the middle, I have to do a final read. So I guess that's the confusing
That,
part. of that.
and that's the part where
yeah.
I'm having a hard time. I
That's-
worry about a house not selling. I mean, market's crazy right now. You don't know what's going to happen.
Let's think that through before we implement
Well,
something
then the
like that.
phrasing should involve closing. You know,
We have to think that through, because
that should be some sort of trigger. Then is that, you know.
But at some point, you're not going to want to have that meter sitting there that you're responsible for as a construction meter. You just want to finalize the house so that if you sell, you're not jumping through hoops, having us come out and change it out.
let's think that through a little bit to make sure, just on that transitional portion, how that would work out. If we gotta put a timing or anything, I'd have to think that through. Just to make sure it doesn't screw up the munis on all that stuff.
I want to screw with Munis. There's a line
Wanna
from here to
use
town
Munis.
hall of people that'll.
It sounds like a simple thing to do, but it's that whole transition portion I think is gonna be the.
That's what I'm saying, where it gets confusing. Like right now, houses are selling like crazy, so it might not be bad, but in January of 25, it might be a whole different scenario, you know? Houses might stop selling.
Yeah.
You know, so now if you're sitting on a house for 6 months, like I said, now
I typically shut it off every day,
shut.
the meter off. Like if I'm working in a house and the meter's in it,
Yeah.
at night when I'm done, I just shut the water off.
Yeah.
Just
No,
to
I
make
get
su-
that.
Just to
I'm
make
just-
sure when you're not
Some-
there.
yeah, something doesn't
something's
break in the
new,
house.
something might leak or.
Okay.
You don't have a lot of faith in a plumber, huh?
Well, everything's new. I'd rather, if something's gonna
I'm
blow,
just
I'd rather make sure it happens. when it's-
Just
when it's-
joking.
Yeah.
He's always around.
Yeah,
We had the line over at the new construction inside the fire pump room.
yeah.
A gasket blew out. That's at 110 psi,
Ooh.
and we were working on the inverts, transitioning from the old pump station to the new pump station on Gilboa. The guy had just got in and redid all the brick invert. He got out. He was going over to the pump station, and all of a sudden, full pipe of water came out. We're like, what? The guy goes, "Did you turn the pump station, the other one on?" Because he thought the Blackstone Valley came out. I'm like, "It's not even going into that. It goes direct down the force main." I go over to look. I'm like, "Holy crap!" Ran over, popped the manhole on the bridge, and it was coming from them. I go flying up there. The whole parking lot was flooded. Water was coming out the fire pump room. So much water so quick, they flooded all the electrical. It was $47,000 in electrical repairs they had to do. But they had a drain in there that's a 10 or 12 inch that goes to the sewer. It was the drop invert coming off the bridge. You guys know how a drop invert works. It's got the pipe that comes straight through, so we can send a camera, and then it drops down like this to go down to a different depth on the sewer. It was coming out both pipes full. That's how much water. And the guy was just working in that manhole. But that blew, that had to be 100,000 gallons in no time. But it happened to be we were doing the startup on the pump station. We were getting ready to throw a pump in the river just to fill the sump so we could test a new pump station. We didn't have to because it filled it immediately. We went through 4 cycles on the pump station and just dealing with that water leak. But
So the hydrant use fee, that's a simple one. That's an easy one.
that's
So
a
obviously,
straightforward.
Let's work the logistics out on that other one to make sure it's not gonna. That we can accomplish what we're trying to accomplish without confusing the hell out of the
For the temporary
Yeah.
construction or
Yeah.
service or whatever. Okay. So hydrant permit, we're gonna put in at 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that a,
Temp service construction.
so the hydrant, the use fee, is that per, or does somebody get a permit for the year and then pay
It's typically not a year, it's typically for whatever they're doing at that period. I mean, I'm not gonna set up a hydrant for somebody to use for a year.
No, but I mean, it's like they wanna come in, if they wanna come in as like a hydrant, so the local guy. wanna
Right,
come
so
in.
that's what I was gonna say is, you gotta determine, like I said, on the construction site, they set it up, it was set up out there for 3 months.
Yeah, that's a,
But we know that up front, so,
yeah. I'm thinking just that somebody wants to fill up the hydrant.
right.
Put
But
people along.
for a hydro seeder, I mean, if I set it up here, that's one thing, but if they're wanting to set up,
No, I would say set it up here. or something.
right, but there might be an instant
Yeah.
where someone needs a hydrant, like, say someone's coming in doing paving, and they need to get on a hydrant, they're not gonna come down here to fill up a roller.
No,
So we're gonna set up a hydrant meter on a
Yeah.
a hydrant near where they're doing
yeah, yeah.
the asphalt and the rolling. So I can't say it's always gonna be here, but I can't have a paver come in and say, hey, I need a hydrant permit, and they do a different driveway in a different location every day,
Right, yeah.
for that one fee, and then I'm out there with somebody running around moving hydrant meters around every day.
Yeah, and you gotta make it so it's reasonable that
Right, so I mean,
they're gonna do it. If this fee's too much, they're gonna be like, screw it, I'll take my chances and just put it
Right.
and suck it out of the river.
Yeah.
Or whatever they have.
yeah, whatever they're doing, but I don't think they can out of the river all they want.
Well, I know, but
I'm just saying, so that's one of the tricky areas of when you do a hydrant permit. If we set it up here and they're using it, I don't have a problem saying, all right, you're gonna be 3 weeks, yeah, just come here every time you gotta fill up. And then we'll measure, we'll take the reading and figure out how much water you used. But if it's something, if I gotta change hydrants,
no. I'm just
to me,
thinking
that's a different permit.
That's a different, right.
So it's to connect to a hydrant. If you're, when you fill out the permit, we need to have on there a duration.
Yeah.
Right.
right.
I can't have it open-ended.
For hydrant permit fee, so then maybe if it was broke out separate on it, you got a hydrant permit fee for what we're talking about.
Right.
And then a fee if somebody wanted to come in and just use this as
Right.
like a separate, that was a blanket for the town, this was specifically for
Right.
that, we'd have to determine what
Yeah.
the
So
cost would be.
I mean, if we're already holding off
me
on
ask- I'll ask actually a landscaper to ask me about it, so and he does, other towns do it, so it's not like we're.
That's what I mean, most towns do it.
So, let me ask him what the,
Yeah, and I mean, if Lee's got time, I can see if she can call a couple towns and get their policy and how they set it
handle
up.
that,
But we can even call and ask for a permit.
yeah, okay. So those are the two things we need to look at. And if it's not, if we don't have that ready for well, we could have it for the rate.
We got almost 2 weeks, so.
Yeah, and fees I don't think fees require a public hearing. I think it was rates, water rates do, but I don't think fees
Right,
require.
right. The rates need to, but you wanted to get them all voted in at the same time, so
At a
that's.
meeting, everything was
Right.
done like it. So we're not missing anything and we're not, we should stay consistent with how it's always been.
Yeah, so I can try to get a little more defined and kind of set the guidelines on the hydrant permit and the temporary and construction.
Yep. Yeah, sounds good.
And if you get any input from whoever asked you about it,
Yeah, I'll ask him and see what he pays. Actually, two guys asked me.
yeah. If I can get that thing set up over there, that would solve all the problems.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good on that. So I have a couple more questions, but I won't take up, I don't think we're gonna take too much more time, I think. Basically, and you can just give it to me at any point, one of them was, how much revenue, I know it's 6%, but on what you're expecting on the whole for the budget, and then what portion of that is going to be water and sewer, and just make sure that's adequate for the budget that we approved.
Yeah.
Make sure it's balanced.
Well, that's how we came up with the 6%. We used the budget
Right,
and we went through what we were pulling from retained earnings,
yeah,
and that percentage was 6% of the budget. So that's how we came up with that number.
okay. So I just wanna make sure that we're allocating.
Yep.
the appropriate for that. I'm good with that.
I'm good.
Good, you good, Keith?
I'm good.
Make a motion to adjourn at 8:27.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye.